Hi everyone, this should be my first Warhammer video, as since now I've just been making random vermintide videos, so hopefully it's not too much of a difference. In this video I want to take you through my base building process for a Forge world by making a few character bases. I'll do this on 3 different base sizes, 60mm, 40mm and 32mm, though the basic design philosophies of each should be able to be spread amongst other base types. To start with, there are 3 main sources of bits in this guide: the Leman Russ battle tank, Munitorum armoured containers, and the Sector Mechanicus bases. However, I will be using other bits found in other kits within the video. Firstly, the simplest of the bases, the 32mm one. I made this by taking one of the smaller crates found in the armoured container sprue, snipping it off and cleaning it up with my snippers and scalpel respectively. I then began cutting the sides off so that it sits at an angle on the base. I did the majority of my work with the clippers, before then coming back in and cleaning it up with my scalpel. I then glued it to the base using plastic cement. I then turned to the Leman Russ kit and took one of the barrels of the Exterminator autocannon, cut the tip off of the barrel, split it in half and then glued it inside the crate in order to give the appearance of a raised platform with pipes underneath, thusly allowing me to complete the base for 32mm. And this is how it looks. For the 40mm base, I once again went to the Armoured crates kit for the main part of the base. Taking one of the wall panels, I snipped and cleaned it up before using my hobby saw to cut one of the 3 sections of the wall away cleanly. However, I did make a dent in my cutting at the same time, so be careful. But also make sure you're in a well-ventilated area and wearing proper protective gear before cutting into the plastic, due to plastic particulate that can get into your air. After I had the panel I wanted, I then used my hobby snips to cut it to size to go on the base, constantly checking against my base in order to ensure the cuts matched. Following on from that, I then shaved down the underside with my scalpel to ensure that it had a clean fit against the base. I then grabbed an offcut of plasticard, measured it up against the side of the base in order to act as a wall of sorts, before once again using my snips in order to cut it to size, where I then glued it into position to add a bit more structural stability to the base. Lastly, I took a Necron spine and an Adeptus Mechanicus Corpus Curi Electro Priests power pack. I removed the wires from the power pack and glued it to the base before following it up by placing the power pack under the platform I had made with some plastic cement for some added detail. And once again I had a fully completed base, this one being 40mm in size. Here's how it looks. Lastly, I had the 60mm base to build on. For this base I did decide to use a Dreadnought base, however any type of 60mm base should work for the purposes of this style of base. How many times can I say base in the span of 2 seconds? Then, for a third time, my starting point was the Armoured container kit, but this time I started off with one of the doors with the intent of creating a raised platform for a big character model to stand upon. Starting off with, I first cut a rounded section off the top of the platform in order to make sure that it lined up with one of the corners of the base. I then took half the battle cannon with a full Nova cannon barrel and part of the engine housing to act as pipes and support structure for the base. I cut them off and cleaned them up as I had done before, scalpel and snips, and then glued the barrels to the base using plastic cement at a slight angle. After that, I then cut the box up, leaving me with 2 lengths that I also glued to the base. Once I'd done that, I removed a few pieces from the Sector Mechanicus base set and affixed one of the pieces to it as another pipe, again at a slight angle. Once I'd done that, I then took a las cannon from one of the older heavy weapons teams and removed the barrel and nub from the bottom in order to ensure that it had a clean fit to the base. I then took some wires from the Battlezone Mechanicus kits and glued them upside down, again helping to obscure the back of the gun barrels. Following that, I cut up some lengths of sprue, specifically from the older Officio Prefectus Commissar model, and began layering up from the box that I cut up in order to create an uneven metal surface, again to help make a platform more stable. I then put glue on the topmost pipes, wires and bits of sprue and then attached the platform. Then, turning to the back of the base, I took the lid of the engine housing from the Leman Russ and attached it to the las cannon chassis and platform to obscure more of the back end of the gun barrels. Following that, I took 2 upright pieces from the Sector Mechanicus bases and a part of the Dozer Blade chassis from the Chimera kit, which I did have to cut up using my snips to create an appearance of support struts. I then took the Citadel Skulls kit and removed 3 human skulls with jaws and 4 skulls without jaws, and scattered them around the base, as after all, what would a Forge world be without scattered skulls? Lastly, for a stage you can skip if you want, I took a few of the rats from the Plague Monks kit and attached them to the base, including the one with the robes. That's purely because this base is going to be used for my Abaddon conversion and my White Bearers. And with that, hopefully you now know how to create a Forge World themed base for your armies. Here are the final shots of the bases. I really do hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching, I hope to see you next time.